I've been making YouTube videos for close to 10 years now. Bad YouTube videos for the first 7 of them, and then videos as a full-time creator for the latter 7 of them. And in that time, fortunately, we've built up a team. We have 6 full-time employees here. We have 3 or 4 very serious contractors. So, we have a foundation and we have growth. We've probably made a few $1 million in revenue collectively over that time period. So things are going really well, but it's mainly because things have gone poorly at other times. So I wanted to make a video today talking about a lot of the things that I've learned throughout that 10-year period of making YouTube videos. And some of them will relate to YouTube and making videos and content creation, social media, but there will be other aspects, business, life, relationships that intertwine themselves throughout this. So the goal is 2 things. One, if you already have a YouTube channel, hopefully this will help you avoid some pitfalls or mistakes that I made along the way. And 2, if you don't have a YouTube channel, but you're really passionate about something, I hope that you could see how powerful this platform has been for my life, that it pushes you to consider making your own. Now, this is in no particular order, but I'll start with the heavy hitter, and that is simply that the market is the market is the market, and you could say is the market as many times as you humanly possibly can. That's a quote that I love. And you know why? Because I love me some capitalism. I love the idea of eating what you kill. And I think people that shy against that mentality are people that walk through life with a victim mentality. And that is one of my biggest pet peeve. It's not even a pet peeve. It's like an entire personality trait. If you have a victim mentality, you are never going to win in life. Like, you have to take accountability for everything that happens to you and everything that happens around you, because you're the one that makes the choices of what you're doing, what you are waking up to, and the decisions you make every day, as well as the people that you surround yourself with. If you don't like someone you surround yourself with and you find yourself getting mad at them and you're building up this resentment, you have the fucking choice to not be around them anymore. So when I talk about the market is the market is the market, I just mean the success you have, the growth you have, whatever goal you're trying to accomplish will be directly aligned with the amount of work you're willing to put in, because social media has become pretty much completely democratized. The best people will win. And my idea of winning is having success over a long period of time. Like, make no mistake, there are gonna be some losers that win over a short period of time, but that will never be long lasting and sustained. When I think about when I started making videos, there have been dudes that I have flown by that started before me. There are dudes that started after me that have flown by me, but I have never once looked at these people and been like, he didn't deserve that, this is some bullshit, and made excuses, because everybody that's flown by me, I work hard. If you're willing to work harder than me, then you deserve to jump by me. One example comes to mind. If you don't know who I am, I run a small sports media company called bdge, so that is where most of my experience comes from, and a lot of the things that I will talk about are related to the sports industry, the fantasy sports industry in particular. There's a kid in the fantasy sports industry. He goes by the name of Mason Dodd. You might know him by Fantasy Flock. Is a fucking demon. The kid's work ethic is impeccable. The kid works harder than anyone I know within the industry. And he's younger. I think a lot of older people in the industry would be like, why is this kid growing? Why is he doing this, that, the other thing? It's because of the amount of work he puts in. I have no problem seeing him fly by me in any aspect of business, because the motherfucker earned it. That inspires me. Don't be a victim. Be motivated by that. If they're doing better than you, then they're better than you over the long run, right? Nothing I talk about is short-term. Any short-term success is bullshit. Over the long run, everything plays itself out. And that's okay, because there have been times where, like, I wanted to focus on other things. I wanted to focus on other aspects of my life, of the business, of other creative pursuits. And when you do that, the work on other things will start to come down a little bit. And you can't judge yourself about doing that, because that's just what you want in the moment. But at the end of the day, here's a great quote that I heard recently. It'll either be you that makes the hard choice, or it'll be made for you by the market. The market don't lie. It sees what it sees and it acts accordingly, all right? So the work just needs doing. And that'll lead me into my next point, which is something I felt like I needed to improve. This summer started, or this spring started, and I felt like my videos on YouTube weren't doing as well. I try to compare myself to what my current self is doing, and they weren't doing as well as maybe last year's video or the year before's video. And to me, there was a very clear reason as to why. I thought the content itself was killer, but as anyone who's ever done YouTube stuff knows and has heard before, packaging is everything. It's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. When I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, the market is the market, they ain't clicking on my shit, I need to improve. So one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give to people that do any sort of graphic design, whether it is YouTube thumbnails or Instagram posts or whatever, it is that in design, less is more. People who start doing designs always overcrowd things, overcomplicate it, add in 6 extra assets, 6 extra designs, 17 words of text. It just doesn't need to happen. So with that in mind, as I start to look around the space, as I start to look outside of the space, I'm being inspired by all of these other types of designs and these other creators and graphic designers, and I'm noticing the same things over and over and over again, and it always comes back to simplicity. If you listen to any of the best creators on YouTube talk about thumbnails, it is always keep the assets down to 3 or 4, right? Like one person, one object, one word, one. Simple. Obviously, there are variants of all of them, but as soon as we started to do that, as soon as I realized, okay, I need to put the work in, I need to get better, you could see the thumbnails went from this, which were like okay, lackluster, to this. And I don't work too hard on these anymore because we found a great template that is really simple, really clickable, really eye-catching, and it led to a ton of success on YouTube this summer. So the takeaway here is with design, less is more. Put spacing around things. Don't have things that are overcrowded. You don't need 7 colors. If you are putting a person in the thumbnail, there's no reason to have anything below them titties, all right? Unless there is something in the thumbnail that actually needs to be there because that represents something. But it should be big, face, expression, yell. Make it simple. Another lesson here, clarity over cleverness. Always choose clarity over cleverness. It's great to be clever if you're really clever and you know how to intertwine it with clarity. However, most people are too clever or try to be too clever for their own good. You are the person that is closest to the thing that you are working on, and if you're asking yourself, is this too clever? Is this too tricky? The answer is fucking yes, because you're the one who knows it and you're already asking yourself that. So anytime that you are creating a title, that you are creating a tweet, that you are creating a thumbnail, and you get to the point where you're like, are they gonna understand this? The answer is fucking absolutely not, because you've already gone overboard there. So always side with clarity over clever. The phrase less is more applies to design. It also applies to building leverage. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of the decade. So hear me out. You have to be great somewhere before you can be good everywhere. Everyone in social media just talks about how you have to be on every platform. You have to be on YouTube, you have to be on Twitter and LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram and all these platforms. Nobody started on every platform. Anybody who's ever made it in social media did not start everywhere. Their first video didn't go on 6 different platforms. Think of any great social media person right now, and yeah, they're all over the place now, but because they have the resources. Mr. Beast was a YouTube fanatic forever, and now anything he posts on TikTok, 50 million views floor, because he has $50 million of revenue to spread out to other resources. Jake Paul started on Vine. Now he is a boxer and became a YouTuber, this and that and the other thing. Look at Jack in my office. Jack's company and mine couldn't be more different. We built our entire leverage point through YouTube, and then we spread out to other platforms because I built the resources financially and with a team that allowed us to put them in elsewhere. Jack built his entire company through Snapchat, and that enabled him to build so much leverage there. He just signed a multi-7-figure deal with Underdog Fantasy. Shout out the GOATs. And now that allowed him to invest into other things, and they're building up their YouTube channel. But everybody that becomes great everywhere has to become great somewhere first. So wipe out the idea that every video you make has to be on every platform. Wipe out the idea that you need to have a YouTube channel, a podcast, a TikTok, be posting on LinkedIn, because you don't. At first, you should be great at one specific thing, grow there, learn the expertise, build up leverage, whether that's through network or communication or community, financial leverage. And then once you have those things, you could start to spread it out. It will give you so much more peace of mind. If you just want to be a great video creator, make videos for one specific platform. Be fucking amazing at making TikTok videos. It could change your life. If you want to do YouTube, go for it. I will say it's going to be a tougher climb because you also have to get really good at packaging, titles, hooks, thumbnails. But the point is, become great at something. That is what I think is so fun and like beautiful about the space that we're currently playing in. Right now, we are hiring only people that fill very specific roles, who are great at specific things. And when you become amazing at something, when you build leverage through one specific direction or avenue, you are able to demand a level of whatever it is, creative freedom, financial freedom, to a level that no one else is able to do that, right? Because as anyone who's a business owner will know this, you could hire a C+ player or you could hire an A player. The difference in what you're gonna pay the two might be 2x. You might be like, oh, the C plus guy, you know, his salary is 80K. The A player's salary is 160K, 2 times the price. But the return that you'll get, the quality of work that you'll get from the dude that's really, really an A player is going to be 10x the return. Because to go from F to C plus might take 1 year or 2 years. To go from C plus to A is 5, 7, 10 years. And that shows in the quality of work. And no matter how high of quality your work is, you're gonna have people talking shit. So that leads me to the thick skin portion of this video. A lot of people would tell you, shrug off the comments, don't worry about it. You'll eventually just become numb to the negative comments. There is a level of truth to that. I've been through my Twitter drama. I've been through my TikTok drama. I've heard everything you could possibly say about a single person said about me. And the number of times that those comments have impacted me really over the last couple of years is at a very low percentage. And not because I've become numb to them, but because I've had a mindset shift. What you have to realize as a creator is that anybody leaving negative comments, all they are doing is showing a literal reflection of how they see themselves, of how they feel about themselves in the inside. Every single negative comment that is not constructive criticism, because there's always constructive criticism, but the people that give constructive criticism are self-aware enough to not make it a super negatively energy type of content. The people that leave negative comments that's not constructive criticism are doing that from a point of jealousy, pain, or regret. Like one of those 3 feelings, or they're just fucking young and stupid as hell and don't even, their frontal lobe is not developed. So one of those 4. So to have thick skin, I don't think it's a matter of taking enough bullets to the point where your skin actually becomes thicker. It's about a mindset shift. For me, when I think about that now, it's almost embarrassing. When I think of someone, I would never go on someone else's page and start writing negative comments. That would be so fucking embarrassing if someone saw me doing that stuff. And I think a lot of it also stems from the fact that we're watching a generation lose the ability to form their own original thoughts. It's bad. And the way you stand out when you are anything, a creator, a person, whatever, is by having your own thoughts. I want to coin a term for this or a name for this. It's like the top comment syndrome. That's what I'm gonna call it. TCS, top comment syndrome, is where like people don't think about anything. There's no critical thinking going on. They don't think about forming their own thoughts or about how they actually feel. They just want to comment on things which they think will be the most liked comment, which they think will get the most likes or thumbs up from other people in the stupid ass fucking comment section as well, because that is their form of validation in life. They have such miserable lives, right? Like I said, they come from pain, regret, jealousy, whatever it is, that they need to latch onto your life because theirs is so boring that the way they get validation is by commenting shit so that other people give them that thumbs up. I know this because I've seen these negative comments at scale for long periods of time. And I always come out unscathed on the other side of these things because I've never done anything with bad intent when it comes to business. And that is a huge takeaway here. As long as all of your decisions and actions are well intended, you have a good moral and ethical compass, everything will play itself out in the long run. In the short term, people are gonna do their whole comment for validation type of shit. But when you continue to show up as the person that you wanna be, you will eventually change the mind of those people to the thing that you are showing up consistently over and over and over. So as we pull back out of the emotional state of things, I wanna talk a little bit more about growth or decisions that just don't need to be high stakes. Everybody likes making these high stakes decisions out loud in public on social media. I've done it many times, literally with this channel itself. A couple of years ago, I was so excited to start this channel and I put out this announcement on Twitter and it led to like 1,000 subscribers on the channel. And then things got busy at work and I was like very focused on building bdge and I didn't get the content out that I wanted to on this channel. And then it became this thing of like, fuck, internally, I'm like, I'm a fucking fraud. Like, what am I doing? I wish I put more time into it. And then it became this spiral of like negative feelings towards it because I made things high stakes. When I talk about high stakes, there's no reason to make things high stakes when they don't need to be. There's almost no upside. Hiring content series, I'm referring to investing in equipment for content. None of that stuff needs to be high stakes. When we got our first office space almost 3 years ago at this point, the same exact day that we got our office space is when we hired 3 people full time. I went from December 31st of whatever year it was, 2021, as a full-time creator, but alone in my apartment with no employees. January 1st, 24 hours later, we had the rent of a New York City office space. We had 3 full-time employees on salary. It was a huge fucking mistake. We went in with no real game plan, no real direction. I had no leadership or management experience. It was just something like, oh, I feel like we should do this. I feel like we should get together and just kind of see what sticks and see what happens here. The amount of risk that was compared to like what we could have just slowly built up in a more methodical and intelligent way, it was not a fair seesaw. And I learned that really fucking quickly. So as you're bringing team members on, our process is to work on a case-by-case basis. We will talk to 3, 5, 10 applicants, see who is the best, put them on almost a trial run. So what we do is we have this conversation up front and say like, hey, here are your duties. Here are the deadlines and the timetables for those duties. Do you agree that you can complete those duties? And if they agree, cool, we can move forward. Then we'll go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, see how it unfolds. If the person knocks it out of the park, just hits every deadline, hits everything, and like the creativeness is there and he's a fucking spark in the company, great. That's not real. That doesn't happen. That's a liar. Normally, they'll fuck something up. That's okay. For the first time, you go back and you communicate with them. Sometimes people's eyes are bigger than their stomachs. So maybe the deadline was too short. Maybe the tasks were a little too intensive for them. Now you have to ask yourself, when I'm hiring people now, I'm saying, all right, BDGE needs to get to here by 12 months from now. We are here. The right person for this job will be able to take these steps up. They will be able to do task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4 by date 1, date 2, date 3, date 4. So it's not personal, the conversation. If you are unable to do these things, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. You are just not the right fit for us. So when we get to that first conversation and there were steps skipped or steps that were not able to be climbed up, we have the conversation. We ask why, what happened here? What can we do better? If it's something that I feel that is not able to be changed, then they're not the right fit. If it's something I feel we could tweak and we can compromise on, then cool. We will put those changes in place and then we let another 2, 3, 4 week run by. And if then it can't be done, you have a problem because you either have a skill problem, which that person is not the right fit for you, or the person just needed a little bit more help and they didn't come to you or anyone else on the team, which is a communication problem. Both of those are equally detrimental to growing teams. A skill problem will make sure that you guys stay here. If everybody on the team is not a B player looking to become an A player, you guys will be as good as the worst player on your team. If the person has a communication problem, that will end up causing a problem throughout the entire company, all right? Deadlines are not going to be hit. Organization is going to be lost. So those are equal problems for me. If they can't do it by step number 2, it's probably time to look elsewhere. But keep it low stakes. Same thing with content series. There's no reason to promise, oh, I'm going to do this for the full year. Do a piece of content that you want to do. If you love it, if the audience loves it, then you could build on it and do part 2 and part 3 if you want to. But one of the biggest mistakes content creators make, they form this idea, this series in their head, and they're like, this is going to be so awesome. They do it once, and I've done this many times, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't even enjoy making that content. Oh, the audience doesn't like it. But now that I promised that I have to do it for 3 months, 6 months, or whatever, now I have to do it. And now that's wasting my time, and it's fucking up my peace of mind. It fucks up the whole flow, all right? So don't do that. Don't overpromise content series when no one actually gives a fuck, okay? And if they do give a fuck, they will show you that in the first or second type of that content. And I want to head back into the thought of having high standards. Kind of just talked about like if this person can't do this, then he's out the door. It is 1000% okay to have really high standards. It's been a little bit tough for me to come to grips with that outside of my business life, but having high standards is the highest form of self-respect. People that have low standards don't respect themselves. Otherwise, you would not allow low standard things to come into your life. You can have relative success in different aspects of your life, but there is nothing that will take you over the top and get you to that unlockable level like having high standards. I say it's okay to have high standards as long as you're going to match that energy. If I have high standards for people and their work ethic within my building, it's because I know I'm working as hard, if not harder than they are. If I have high standards for what a partner of mine is going to look like in a relationship, it's because I'm bringing that same energy to the relationship. If I'm looking for someone creative, it's because I'm creative. If I'm looking for someone thoughtful, it's because I'm thoughtful. So again, having high standards, I think, is just the highest form of self-respect, but make sure that you show up as that person too. And I know we just bounced all over the place, but I do want to get into a few reasons or a pitch of why you should start a YouTube channel if you have a strong passion about something. If you don't have a strong passion about something and you want to get into YouTube because your cousin does it or you want to make money or something, literally don't bother. But if you have a weird niche industry or topic that you love and you know that you know more about than other people, you should start a YouTube channel. One, it is so important to have a creative outlet or expression in the world today, dude. I think a lot of why people are so angry all the time is because they have like bottled up who they truly are, and then it comes out in a negative form in other aspects of their life. And I'm not saying like you need to make videos. I'm not saying you need to put everything that you do out into the world. What I am saying is that when you do find the right thing, when you do find the thing that you're really passionate about, you're gonna want to share it with the world. You also become a million times more interesting person when you do have some sort of creative outlet. I connect immediately with people that are artists or in tech or are video creators or any creators whatsoever. Those are the people that I'm really passionate about building relationships with, which leads me into another reason of just network, right? Like networking within your space as a creator is so fruitful. Not only just the collabs you could do, but the business relationships that you build, and those will come over time. You're not going to be able to step into an industry, make a video, reach out to the top creators in that industry, and they're going to give a shit about what you're doing or who you are. It's just not how the real world works. Naval once said, go do something great and your network will instantly emerge. And I can't relate to that more because when I started making YouTube videos in the fantasy space, that was very new. Like there might have been 2-3 people doing it at the time. Everybody that had come up in the industry, anyone that I knew as a creator was either blogging, on Twitter, doing podcasts. This was like kind of the changing of the guard where like video content started to take over the industry a little bit. And because of that, I was a little bit of an outsider, which I didn't give a fuck at all because I always felt like this was just the way that I wanted to express myself. I was passionate about a thing. This was the way that I was going to present that. And my objective was never to build relationships with people in the fantasy industry. Whether or not I'm friends with them now, that was never the objective of mine. But what happens is when you do great work, people have no choice but to recognize you. There has to be a community built around you if your work is good enough. So you kind of backdoor your way into the networking aspect of it. And as it relates to, having this creative aspect of your life, like think about it from a portfolio standpoint. I could tell you this. When I first started looking for corporate jobs, so basically I went from college into the marketing field for like 3 or so years. And in that span is when I started making content. So again, like 10 years ago, I'm 32 now, so like 21, 22. I started my channel there, went into the marketing field. Every single call that I got for an interview, the first thing that they brought up was always the little part of my extracurricular activities on my resume that said I have a YouTube channel about fantasy football. Every single time, every dude at every company, all he wanted to hear about was that. It's these things in a world where everybody is so cookie cutter and everybody is so scared to put themselves out there. Once you do it, it's so freeing and it's so fruitful and it builds up this portfolio for you. And it doesn't need, like, you don't have to have an ambition to be a full-time creator or build a business around it, but it can get your foot in the door in that way where it gets people interested about you. It also gives you another conversation topic in just general communication with other people. You could be a creator for another company that still works for a company, or within your current company, you could be a fucking accountant that goes to your boss and says, hey, I want to start making content for our company. And maybe you can't demand money up front, but if it goes well, then you probably can. It can parlay that into something else. There are a million branch offs as to why building up a content portfolio is such a smash easy decision in today's world. And maybe it's easy for me to sit here and say all of these things. I love making videos. I couldn't imagine a day that I woke up and didn't make videos. Like, I genuinely think I will be doing this until the day I have no idea what the topics will be when I get into my later 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. I'd imagine they're going to be changing. I'd imagine the platforms are going to be changing. I'd imagine a lot changes within the course of my life. But I tell you what, this is how I express myself, and this is how I will always do it. And the reason I want to push y'all to do that is because what if this is the thing like that for you? What if you don't? You need to find something that gets you out of fucking bed in the morning. You need to find something that you really, really thrive on that supplements the rest of your life. The confidence I've built through building this, the self-respect I've built through building the business, the standards that I've elevated in my life from having to hold people in here accountable as well as myself, I don't know that I would have been able to find them anywhere else. I was awful at expressing myself when I was younger. I hated being vulnerable, but me coming on camera was like the safest place in the world for me. me. I don't know how many people are going to watch this. I don't know if 50 people are going to watch this. I don't know if 50,000 people are going to watch this. It doesn't change any emotion in my body other than like fired up to make this fucking video. I never think about how many people are going to watch the video. It is just like a safe, expressive, vulnerable spot for me. And I want everybody out there to hopefully find an equal footing for that. Now, I could not possibly make a video talking about every single thing that I've learned throughout my YouTube journey. I did make a video, which I'll put right here, everything that I learned last year, the entire calendar year of 2023, the good, the bad, the ups and the downs throughout the business. So if you want to watch that afterwards, do it right here. Otherwise, I will leave y'all at that. Love y'all for hanging out today and maybe making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, we'll be doing a lot more videos like this going forward. So subscribe to the channel and smoochies.